The other big headline this morning, Nvidia, that stock is moving skyward after it said it would buy SoftBank's chip division Arm. The $40 billion deal is the largest ever in the semiconductor industry, and Yahoo Finance's Emily McCormick is on this one for us this morning. So what are the details of this deal, Emily?
Well, good morning, Alexis. And Merger Monday continues with a massive deal here for Nvidia and SoftBank's Arm unit. Now, this is, as you mentioned, the largest ever deal in the semiconductor industry and by far the largest purchase made by Nvidia so far. Now, this is also a win for SoftBank, which paid $32 billion to acquire Arm 4 years ago. The terms of this new deal are for $40 billion. And looking at the details here, we have Nvidia agreeing to pay SoftBank $21.5 billion in shares and $12 billion in cash. It may also give another $5 billion in cash or stock to SoftBank based on Arm hitting certain performance-based targets. And it will issue another $1.5 billion in equity to Arm's employees. Now, just taking a look at these businesses here and what these companies stand to gain from a tie-up, we have Nvidia and Arm until now really having been operating in separate lanes in the semiconductor space. We have Nvidia, known for its graphic processors used in video games like the Nintendo Switch, and it also has chips that go into data centers, and it's been a leader as well in the artificial intelligence chip space. Now, if we take a look at Arm, though, Nvidia will now get a major inroad into the smartphone chip space specifically. The Wall Street Journal this morning cited a statistic that Arm designs and licenses chips used in about 90% of global smartphones. So it's a huge player in the space that Nvidia will now be getting a huge part of. Now, I want to point out here that we are seeing Nvidia shares on the rise this morning. Shares are trading higher by about 7%. So clearly Wall Street seeing some upside here with this deal. Alexis?
And Emily, talk to us about what this means for Japan's SoftBank. We know they've made a lot of bets, big bets that have gone south. I would imagine this $40 billion will come in pretty handy for them.
Absolutely. So we have seen SoftBank, of course, struggling over the past year or so with some of its deals, of course, with the Vision Fund and some of the investments that it made in that space as well. But if we think about its acquisition of Arm back in 2016, had really struggled to get that off the ground. As I mentioned before, it purchased it for $32 billion. So getting a little bit of a premium here with this deal now with Nvidia. But I do want to point out that while Wall Street right now and investors seem pretty upbeat about this deal, not everyone is on board with it. We had Herman Hauser, one of the founders of Arm back in 1990, calling the deal a, quote, disaster in a media interview earlier today. And he noted that before the acquisition by SoftBank, Arm had been seen as one of UK's, quote, technological jewels, and approving its sale to an overseas buyer was politically sensitive. Now, he's saying that similar scrutiny could now come into the realm here when we have Nvidia, a US company, purchasing Arm, which is still based in the UK. Although I do want to point out that Nvidia's Jensen Huang did say yesterday that Arm would stay headquartered in Cambridge and that Nvidia would allow it to continue its research and development overseas. Alexis?